This is really, really awesome. Do
When
you
I
have many more of those, or is that the only one?
Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon, and I'm here in New Orleans with the legendary New Orleans bartender, Chris Hanna. Chris, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Chris Hanna, New Orleans bartender. I'm a head bartender and partner at Jewel of the South, and a partner at Manolito as well.
And Manolito, what kind of bar is that?
Manolito's our Cuban bar.
Oh, that sounds fun. I got to go to Cuba a few months ago, and it was great. So I look forward to that. I've had your drinks at Jewel of the South, and they are fantastic.
Thank you.
So I reached out to you because you reached out to me. So when I started My Tiny Bottles, I was following people on Instagram, and I followed you. And you sent me a message saying, ooh, tiny bottles, are those for sale? And so what was your interest? Are you a collector yourself?
I am a slight collector, but I also saw specific bottles. And so when you see something like Benedictine, when you're a bartender in New Orleans, you're obviously going to gravitate to that. So I'm actually happy you brought these 3 bottles here today.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was what I was thinking is as I talked about in the episode that is played just before this one will play, Benedictine is a liqueur that has a long history specific to New Orleans in terms of use in cocktails.
Very true.
And so it really seemed like this was the place to come and taste it, and that you would be a great person to taste it with.
Sounds excellent.
Have you tasted many vintage liqueurs and spirits? Do you have background with this?
No, I wouldn't say that many. Mostly like straight spirits like whiskeys and cognac.
Which definitely tend to stand up a little bit better. Well, I think this bottle...
This top is amazing.
Isn't it really cool the way it's got these little flanges? And I have a bottle of Cointreau that's like the same size, has the same top, and I think probably comes from the same era. So I am guessing this comes from the 1960s. It's got the British proof, so it says 73 proof on it.
That's awesome. Which
is the British equivalent of 86 proof, which was the proof of Benedictine before 1978.
Nice.
And then I did a bunch of looking online to try to match it up with old examples of bottles. And so I'm saying 60s. It could be 70s. Definitely before 78. What do you think?
I think it's before the 70s.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Look at that top.
Look at that top.
Yeah, that's
it's
before
so cute.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have really no idea how to open it. So we're just gonna try. Okay. So it is kind of what you would expect.
All right.
It's got a little tab. Uh-oh. I know that it just looks like a little paper flap in there. Do you think we're supposed to turn this? Yeah?
Oh.
No. I think we have to peel
hit
it
all
off.
3, huh? Oh,
Right.
nice. I mean, is that a little cork?
It's like just a little cardboard thing. It had a very satisfying when it came off. A little corkish, yeah. All right. So let's go ahead. We'll pour just a little. You told me you want to make a Vieux Carré, so maybe...
Oh yeah, I don't want to be stingy.
Yeah, we can always come back to it. So we do have the modern one to compare it to.
Yeah.
But, let's go ahead and kind of try this one on its own. Do you want to pour some of the modern one into another glass now so you kind of have the same?
Sure.
Got to make sure we know which is which, though. All right.
Oh, nice.
All right. So this is the modern one, dark in color, pretty thin. I'm just kind of looking at the texture because I think you did the same thing I did. When we poured the old one, all right, old one.
The old one has more of a bouquet.
It seemed much more viscous.
Well,
as well
you can
when
smell
I was pouring it.
I can smell it better as well.
It does smell really good.
Yeah, the little honey and baking spices. The new one's nice, but I'm loving that this is still holding up.
It's funny because the new one is only 80 proof and this is 86, but I get more raw alcohol off the new sample. Where I get more volatiles. And often with these old bottles, it feels like the volatiles blow off. And when we take our first sip, our first aroma, first scent, it doesn't smell like anything. But this one has a lot going on right out of the gate.
So are we tasting the new one first or the old one?
Old one. Taste the old one. I was just curious about the viscosity, so I wanted to get that going.
Oh, that's lovely.
I kind of wonder if we should have tasted the new one first to have a like a benchmark.
This is really. So I'm just thinking that how much better Vuccarets were back in the 60s.
Yeah, right? It's funny because you think about that.
This is really, really awesome.
When
Do you
I
have many more of those, or is that the only one?
that's the only one I
Oh,
found so
no.
far.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what's in the collection, right? You can pour
This
yourself a
is
little more if you
excellent. This
want
is definitely going to make a difference in a Vuccaret
in a
and
Vuccaret.
a La Louisiane.
Yeah. And the Vuccaret is just like a bar spoon worth, right? Just a little bit?
I
How
go
much
up,
do you like?
I go up to a half,
Yeah, okay.
a short half ounce. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to compare it to the modern one so we really know what's going on. So I'm getting like a sharpness here that I guess I don't know, like almost like a little acid bite. You can pour a little more. No, I'm still on the old one. You just finished yours. You're like, I know what this is. I'm not gonna waste any time. It's definitely got this real thick viscosity, this mouthfeel. A little bit of the dusty bottle taste that people who've been following the project will know I find in these bottles a lot.
I think this is held up 100%. This is really lovely.
Okay. I'm going to compare it.
It's a little softer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's a lovely spirit, but the older one, it's hanging on more on the tongue.
Yeah.
After each sip.
Yeah, it's really punchy. Like,
Yeah.
you know it's there. One of the things that I like about Benedictine and cocktails is that it adds a ton of complexity, but it doesn't fight. Like chartreuse will add a ton of complexity, but like you know it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
Where Benedictine just kind of like blends in with the other ingredients and accents them and makes them better. I think the old one could still do that, but it definitely is going to make itself known a little more.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like a little more velvety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that mouthfeel especially.
Well, that would mean B&B back in the day would be a little different as well, right?
I guess so. And we don't have a modern example of B&B, but we do have 2 old examples.
Awesome.
So this was actually the first bottle in this line that I opened. So this is bottle 17. And it is B&B from, I think, the 70s. So definitely pre-78, because again, that's when the proof changed. But it's like totally archaic. It's 1/16 of a pint.
Yeah. That's
it
cool.
has, you can tell a lot about the date based on the tack strip. And this one, it's annoying with minis because in full-size bottles, if it has a less than half a pint, like if it has a size measure on the end of the tack strip, then that means it's from like before 1960 something, 1960 maybe. But with the minis, they just kept the same tack strips from 1940 to 1977. So like for sure we know it's 1940 to 1977, but beyond that, I don't know. My guess is 70s.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah,
this one. I do think that one's older.
Yeah.
I mean, the tops,
But
cool.
Still 86
still
proof,
awesome.
so it should have something a lot like this. Yeah, I mean the labels changed too, right? So that definitely implies older on that one. But yeah, so it should have something a lot like this mixed in with some brandy. And probably the brandy that they're using has changed too.
Right, I was just wondering, it actually says the brandy on that label. Fécamp?
Well, Fécamp is where the...
Oh, you're right.
Where, that's where the Palais de Benedictine is located.
There.
You have?
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
right. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I have not, but it is on my list of places to go. All right, so this is old one, which is lighter in color. New one, darker in color. Okay. Now, going in.
Newer's there. There we go. So you get it.
Also a very satisfying noise on that one. All right. So this should be not as sweet because it's been mixed down. It's been added some brandy to it. So it's not a full-on liqueur anymore.
Bottled cocktail.
Bottled cocktail. And that is actually what I talk about. When I talked about this bottle on the show, I talked about it as one of the original bottled cocktails.
Yeah.
Although Hugh Blind was doing things with bottled cocktails well before B&B came out. I get the brandy nose on this one.
Yeah.
If there's baking spice or any of the stuff we picked up on the first one, it's hiding. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe we'll find it in the palate.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I almost get a little more of the Benedictine flavor that I was expecting from the first one, from the oldest one, that I kind of missed what I associate with modern Benedictine.
Right.
There were other things going on there, but it missed that. And this has a little more of that herbal note that I kind of associate with it. That's good. I don't drink much B&B out of the bottle, so I don't know how to compare it to sort of the modern packaged stuff. I mean, the really interesting thing here is going to be to see how did it change between that one and this one. So let's get this going. This is great. I have a lot of bottles. There are probably 300 to 400 bottles.
That's awesome.
So it's a lot of things to open and write about and talk about and taste. So the fact that I get to go through 3 in one tasting, that's a good day.
That is a good day. Salud.
Salud.
Open nose. What do you think?
Different nose.
Different. Yeah, it is different.
And is that that's the difference on the proof? So lower proof. So maybe not as many volatiles blowing off, not as much alcohol right there.
And this one, we would guess, is older than
this is the newer one.
Yeah.
This is the newest. So this is like probably 80s, post 78. It's before 1995 because the label changed in 95. That's about what I got on that one. But yeah, I feel like I smell the brandy, and the older the B&Bs, I smell the brandy a lot. And this one, it's just not as aromatic a brandy. I'm sure it changed. I'm sure what they were using changed.
It's still just really great that they're both holding up, so you can have since you only have one, we can have this taste.
That one's got some pepper.
Yeah, and it's a little lighter for me. But that's funny about the pepper, yeah.
Yeah, it's super peppery. That's not a flavor I associate with Benedictine at all.
Yeah, that's funny though.
Yeah.
I wonder what baking spice they were doing during that decade.
Right. I mean, they say, of course, the recipe goes back to the 1500s, and it's got one of those, totally fake backstories. But, we know 28 ingredients, and they will say, this has been the recipe forever, but was it really? You don't know.
The palace is amazing.
Is it?
I even got in the water as well. It's a funny rocky beach. It's all rocks.
Nice.
I was like, I got to get in the water. I want to taste that older one just one more time.
The older B&B?
Yeah.
Okay, there's the older B&B for you. Yeah, I mean, we have to finish drinking this one today because we can't reseal it.
I know. Look at that.
Look at this. There was no keeping anything with these little foil pull-offs. But I think there could be enough there for
definitely
for a Vauqueray. All right.
But Neil definitely has to taste them.
Yeah, definitely. So I should say
awesome.
We are
this is
in an
great.
office above Cure, one of the great New Orleans cocktail bars. And so thank you to Neil Bodenheimer for giving us a space to record the tasting today. And Neil will also be appearing on a tasting soon.
My good friend Neil Bodie.
Yes. All right. Well, Chris, this was fantastic.
This is amazing.
I'm so glad I could share these with you.
Thank you.
So you asked originally about, wanting the bottles themselves. And I don't know if you like them for the fact that their bottles are for what's in them. But in fact, I don't need to own 300 to 400 bottles. So I actually do gift the bottles to the person I tasted them with.
Oh, that's amazing.
So these are now
that's the best.
to add to your collection.
I had no idea that was coming. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So if people want to find you online, where should they look for you?
Instagram, count_Hannah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, Count Hannah.
And yeah, I don't do Facebook that much, but Chris Hannah on Facebook.
And then Jewel of the South.
Jewel NOLA.
And
then Manolito NOLA.
All right. So we will put those in the show notes so you can find those. And of course, if you want to find me, you can do that at mytinybottles.com, or you can follow me on all your social media at mytinybottles. Definitely go back and read or listen or watch the episodes about these individual bottles and kind of hear what their story was. And then we bring them all together here. So you can do that there. Well, cheers.
Salud. Cheers.
Salud.
This was awesome. Thank you.